Okay, hey guys. So, website monitoring and backups. Um, a lot of folks use WordPress websites and they're great. We use them for all of our lead gen sites, a lot of our clients. Most everyone's on WordPress because it's just a highly efficient platform. It's ubiquitous. There's a lot of great things that WordPress does. There's a lot of bad things that WordPress can do if you're not constantly updating it, making sure that there's software updates within. They call them plugins. You might use a plugin for uh, a lead capture form or some other integrations that you might need as a result of what you're trying to do with your website. Um, Years ago, before I get into that story, so the other thing that you need to do along with updating and monitoring your website is making sure that you're running backups. Um, Backups can be once a quarter, once a month, but you need to make sure that you are backing up your website so that if there is anything catastrophic that should happen, you're prepared. And let me tell you, just when you think it doesn't happen to you, it can happen to you. Let me give you a story. I think this was 2012. I still have a Heavenly Greens page open, so you heard that noise. The Phantom chat bot with a person normally behind it is not there. So I'm going to close this web page. Um, yeah, 2012, something like that. And what ended up happening was Kristen, who manages our call center, it was actually around December when this happened. It might have been 2013, I'm not sure. But what ended up happening is we were operating on WordPress. We didn't have any of these systems. And as you go through this course, you probably have heard me talk about point A to point B. Well, Heavenly Greens was kind of in the middle of A and B. We hadn't really fully integrated into everything that we are today, point B. But at the end of the day, we were using WordPress. We weren't backing up systems. We weren't making sure our plugins were dialed in. We're doing any of that. You know why? Because I didn't know I needed to do it. Kristen, running the call center, comes into my office. Actually, she called me to make sure I was in the office. And I said, yeah. She goes, I'm coming over. So she comes over and she goes, check this out. I got a call from a lady who said when she put in our website address, it went to a shoe store. And I'm like, what? She goes, yeah. And I did it, and it does. And I'm like, what? And I went, typed it in. Holy guacamole. What ended up happening was we had an exploit, and I found this out afterwards. We had an exploit in one of our WordPress plugins that, boom, went off like a bomb, automatically went out to the database and sent redirects, overrode all of our SERPs, search engine result pages, SERPs. So what that is when you type in Google and you see an explanation, that's a SERP, a search engine result page. It took all of our content, all of our blogs, and redirected it to a Chinese Air Jordan knockoff website. They were knockoff Air Jordans. Our entire website was offline. We were an Air Jordan website. That's what happens if you don't make sure you're backing up and monitoring your website. And it can happen, and it happened to us. So fortunately, at the same time, in parallel, I was in development moving over to HubSpot, and I called the developer that I was working with at the time. And I said, Rick, dude, oh my God, what do we do? What do we do? He goes, we don't panic, sit down. And so what we did was we flipped the switch, turned the DNS servers, switched everything over to the HubSpot servers. Blink, our new website went live, and that problem was averted. However, if that hadn't have been an option to us, all of our search engine result pages would slowly come up in Google's algorithms as problems, right? Because that search is not correlating with the result, and that website probably would eventually be blacklisted, which eventually goes back to Google, and Google does something that you cannot ever recover from, and that is you get delisted. Your index goes bye-bye, and you'll never recover from it. The URL address is most of the time ruined. You can maybe come back from it, but you don't ever want to try to get into that situation and be tempted. Long story to tell you, you better be backing up your websites. You better have a update plan in place. and you want to make sure that you're monitoring all that stuff. All right. See you in the next one.